Hello. Today we're reading Mark 4. Story Story of the farmer scattering seed. Once again Jesus began teaching by the lake shore. There was such a large crowd along the shore that he got into a boat and sat down and spoke from there. He began to teach the people by telling many stories such as this one. Listen, a farmer went out to plant some seed. As he scattered it across the field, some seeds fell on a footpath. So this parable I really like because it's like telling of the different types of Christians that we are, or like where we are in our faith and how we can get pulled away. So some seed fell on the footpath, and the birds came and ate it. Other seed fell on the shallow soil with underlying rock. The plant sprang up quickly, but it soon wilted beneath the hot sun and died because because the roots had no nourishment in the shallow soil. Other seed fell among the thorns that shot up and choked out the tender blades, so that it produced no grain. Still other seed fell on the fertile soil and produced a crop that was 30, 60, and even a hundred times as much as had been planted. Then he said, anyone who is willing to hear should listen and understand. Later, when Jesus was alone with the 12 disciples and with the others who were gathered around, they asked him, what do your stories mean? He replied, you are permitted to understand the secret about the kingdom of God, but I am using these stories to conceal everything about it from outsiders, so that the scriptures might be fulfilled. They see what I do, but they don't perceive its meaning. They hear my words, but they don't understand. They will not turn from their sins. So they will not turn from their sins and be forgiven. But if you can't understand this story, how will you understand all the others I am going to tell? The farmer I talked about is the one who brings God's message to others. The seed that fell on the hard path represents those who hear the message, but then Satan comes at once and takes it away from them. The rocky soil represents those who hear the message and receive it with joy. But like young plants in such soil, their roots do not go very deep. At first, they get along fine, but they wilt and as soon as they have problems or are persecuted because they believe the word. The thorny ground represents those who hear and accept the good news. But all too quickly the message is crowded out by the cares of this life, the lure of wealth, and the desire for nice things. So no crop is produced. But the good soil represents those who hear and accept God's message and produce a huge harvest, 30, 60, or even 100 times as much as had been planted. The illustration of the lamp. Then Jesus asked them, would anyone light a lamp and then put it under a basket or under a bed to shut out the light? Of course not. A lamp is placed on a stand where its light will shine. Everything that is now hidden or secret will eventually be brought to light. Anyone who is willing to hear should listen and understand. And be sure to pay attention to what you hear. The more you do this, the more you will understand, and even more besides. To those who are open to my teaching, more understanding will be given. But to those who are not listening, even what they have will be taken away from them. Illustration of the growing seed. Jesus also said, here is an illustration of what the kingdom of God is like. A farmer planted a seed in a field, and then he went on with other activities. As the days went by, the seed sprouted and grew without the farmer's help. Because the earth produced crops on its own, because the earth produces crops on its own. First a leaf blade pushes through, then the heads of wheat are formed, and finally the grain ripens. And as soon as the grain is ready, the farmer comes and harvests it with a sickle. Illustration of a mustard seed. Jesus asked, how can I describe the kingdom of God? What story should I use to utilize it? It is like a tiny mustard seed. Though this one is the smallest of all seeds, it grows to become one of the largest of plants, with long branches which birds can come and find shelter. He used many more stories and illustrations to teach the people as much as they were able to understand. In fact, in his public teaching, he taught only with parables. But afterwards, when he was alone with the disciples, he explained the meanings to them. Jesus calms the storm. As evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, let's cross to the other side of the lake. He was already in the boat, so they started out, leaving the crowds behind, although other boats followed. But soon a fierce storm arose. High waves began to break into the boat until it was nearly full of water. Jesus was asleep at the back of the boat, with his head on a cushion. Frantically, they woke him up, shouting, Teacher, don't you even care that we're going to drown? When he woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the water, Quiet down. Suddenly, the wind stopped, and there was a great calm. And he asked them, Why are you so afraid? Do you still have faith in me? And they were filled with awe and said among themselves, Who is this man that even the wind and the waves obey him?